Gateway CDC was founded over 25 years ago in 1997 to ensure that the Gateway Arts District is the heart of Prince George's County's arts beat, and to build an arts district that is lively, walkable, and bikeable, where people of all ages and backgrounds are shopping in locally owned stores, eating at cafes and restaurants, and enjoying arts and entertainment venues, a model of a successful artist-built and backed creative economy. And whereas Gateway CDC has made much progress over the last couple of years with its Open Studio Tours program, Gateway Media Arts Lab, and subsequent Lab Magazine, Property Management, and the current Studio, which stands for Stewardship Trust for Uncommon Design and Inventive Ownership Program, funding from the state of Maryland. And whereas Gateway CDC seeks to strike while the iron is hot, to grow and strengthen its positive influence and ability to support arts and the economies of the city of Mount Rainier, town of Brentwood, and town of North Brentwood, and the Gateway Arts District. And whereas the Gateway CDC needs operational support to grow, build, and thrive, and be able to leverage tax dollars, excuse me, from the three municipalities, city of Mount Rainier, town of Brentwood, and North Brentwood, via grants and other funding mechanisms. And now therefore be it resolved that the towns of Brentwood and North Brentwood have appropriated monies from the American Recovery Plan, and the city of Mount Rainier has appropriated monies from their FY24 budget to support the Gateway CDC via operational support in FY24, and to support the costs associated with the many facets of fundraising, grant opportunity, programming in our municipalities, staff, legal, accounting, and more to aid artists in our communities. Be it further resolved that the city of Mount Rainier would like to quantify the impact of its funding to include quarterly reports that document, should have said that the town of Brentwood would like to quantify the impact of its funding to include quarterly reports that document success due to additional staffing capacity, more grant funding and reporting for existing and new programs, an annual list of artists in city and towns, remains a 501c3 organization, more robust presence and communications of existing programs in each municipality, robust record keeping, data-driven analysis on a consistent basis, and a measure of success, new programs, branding and marketing, collaboration within city and town, an annual audit report, good standing within the city or town and state, agenda and minutes are submitted. An annual report on Gateway CDC activities will be required to be presented at a meeting of each council body by December following the fiscal year end in June. This resolution is adopted by the mayor and town council of the town of Brentwood this 20th day of June 2023, and the language will be submitted shortly to the town administrator for signing.
All right, any questions about the resolution?
Okay. Does it sound like we'll have to have a new resolution every year because that funding isn't secured up across all municipalities for 3 years, right?
Yeah, that was the intent, so that it does two things. One, it holds everybody accountable, and also to create a check-in process. And then also North Brentwood had strategically only allotted their funding for 1 year. So both those two things trigger the same thing, which is to come back and have to do this resolution and just
Right.
revisit each
Okay.
year, which
That's
is
great.
good.
Yeah, it is good,
Yeah.
right? It works out.
So-
Yeah, and that resolution has to be done before the fiscal year begins, July 1st.
Okay.
So I guess around this time next year, we will have to be
Mm,
doing that resolution again.
that's great.
Any other questions in regards to resolution? I hear none. Please call the roll, Mr. Claire.
Councilmember Kiana Taylor,
She's not here, so.
Councilmember
excuse us.
Lauren Roque,
Aye.
Councilmember Marcus Monroe,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stefan Leggett,
Yes.
and Mayor Rocio Terminio Lopez.
Yes, so, thank you. All right, so the next item in the agenda, I think is more like 38 Place sidewalk repair. I think it was a question in regards where is the funding coming, the
Correct.
HUR funding or ARPA? And that was just for clarification
Just for
tonight?
clarification, yep.
Yes. Please, Mr. Gassner.
Yes, so the funding will be used for 38th Street sidewalk, and it's actually not repair, it's installation.
Installation, I'm
It's
sorry.
actually installation. It will come from the highway user funds as soon as the treasurer and I get together to determine what is the current amount in addition to the encumbrance, because we are due a new payment come July 1st, and those two will be combined in order to have the sidewalk installed. And then the ARPA funds will be used for the sidewalk repair. Anyone who has any sidewalks that they want to repair, please submit them by August 1st, 2023, so that we can get them on the agenda or the list of repairs. And that is it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so
Oh, and
much.
I'm working on quotes for the engineering, because the engineering, they're going to oversee the entire process.
Mhm.
We have one quote, and Milestone's actually doing a quote as well, the people who are putting together. So they're doing an engineering quote as well. So we should have.
Once you receive those quotes, can you submit it to mayor and council,
Sure.
since we already
Yep.
know that we are requesting?
Will do. Happy to do that. Yep.
Thank
And then
you.
then after we do that, then we can move forward with the RFP to actually do the
Yeah.
actual work. But we want to do the engineering first.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions about that?
But we're gonna have like 3 engineering quotes, right? One
Correct.
from
We're at
Smith,
Milestone's one,
Milestone,
and then I've got I'm working on one
Another
other one.
Yeah.
and then the person who did Allison,
Mhm. Yeah,
the engineer
I'm
that we
trying
have for
to
Allison
get-
Street.
yes.
Okay.
Mr. Clark.
In your okay, and
I think I
then
sent you the contact.
you did. He never responded back to me.
Oh, okay, that's another.
This is yes. This yeah. He never responded back. I
Mhm.
thought it was going to be third one, so now I've got to find another one
Okay,
because that guy never responded.
okay.
But
no
we
problem.
do. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. no worries.
Yes.
Yeah, I think your highway user funding that's around 250, 260, but I'll double check that number.
That's perfect.
That
Excellent.
would be
Thank you.
outstanding. That would
Yes.
be more, way more. Yep. That would be outstanding.
No, not way more. It'd be just
Yeah. No. It just.
Enough.
just enough.
No, hey, I thought it was going to be a lot less. So let me
Okay.
tell you.
Yeah.
But we did not do any major work last year, and I did this on purpose so that we could do the 38th Street
Right.
for
Right.
encumbrance. And plus,
Yeah,
we've
I'll
had,
give you an exact number, but
and we
but
appreciate that. We have
I'm
such a
just-
talented town
just what I
treasurer,
know from our books, I think that's where we are.
and we have such a talented town treasurer that I knew she was going to be able to make sure that we got this installed. So thank you very much for all that you do.
You're welcome, Mr. Gaston.
All right.
Thank you for all that you do.
Next
All right, you two
item.
settle down.
I need a motion to submit an application for $20,000 PEPCO Sustainable Community Resiliency Grant. So I say I'm gonna need a motion before discussion, so whoever wants to do the motion, now is the time.
I'll make a motion for council to approve the submission of an application on July 6th for a $20,000 Pepco Sustainable Community Resiliency Grant.
Okay, any questions in regards to the grant? Other comment besides what we heard from our resident?
I would like to know about the grant. Yeah, what do we know about the grant?
What we know about the grant is that Pepco and Sustainable Maryland are issued together. Sustainable Maryland is working with Pepco, and Pepco issues different community grants for different programs, and so this is their time to get grant funding. They are giving out $10,000 in grants. I think 6 of them or something, and 2 at $20,000. So it's tight competitive.
Wow.
The $10,000 ones are for securing land and protecting natural resource land, as it were. And as a green team and tree committee, we thought that that probably wouldn't be the way that Brentwood would go, but we would like to really focus on resiliency grant because we do have flooding and stormwater issues. So the aspect that we would take in this grant application would be to, because it's a substantial amount of money, but it's not quite enough to get a full-blown scope of a climate action plan or something that would take a holistic view, comprehensive recommendations. It's a bit smaller, and Sustainable Maryland has some recommendations on how municipalities could, some certain activities that municipalities could approach through this grant. So for instance, getting a sign, that tells people where they can go for, whatever, or different kinds of issues to deal with climate resiliency. So one of the areas that we thought was towards flooding and stormwater would be to to work with a company who is an expert in this area, and we do not have to do an RFP along with this grant, so that's nice. So we can identify the appropriate company to work with us on building a assessment of the town flood risk, not only with existing information that's out there. For instance, FEMA has a lot of flood maps. PG County Department of Environment has a lot of flood information, and they've done a lot of assessments, and the state of Maryland, the same. But what we're missing, what the gap is actually narrowing it down to a municipality level where we can provide a comprehensive assessment looking at just the flood risk currently and in the future. Like if you're buying your house, what is the 30-year plan around if you're investing in buying the house and you want to think about stormwater issues, not just flooding from the river, but flooding coming up from the water table. Not all of the plans like from FEMA or the state of Maryland or PG County actually factor in climate action and the possibility of larger hurricanes, larger flooding. They focus narrowly on you're purchasing your house now and the insurance that you have to have for this year. So this would kind of compile all the information that's existing, maps, take a look at within Brentwood with a Brentwood lens. What are we seeing? What would we be seeing? And then, therefore, with an assessment would come recommended strategies. Something, strategies that are feasible for the town and for residents and for renters, not just homeowners, but people who are renting in houses or locations. And with the recommended strategies, we would also recommend holding a community workshop to make sure that folks are aware of this information, make sure that they're aware of the assessment, the recommended strategies, and what they can personally do for their own land space and what the municipality, what the town can do for its space. We are modeling this after a college park grant that they won through the resiliency grant funding program with PEPCO that they got last year. We've reached out to them to try to get some information from them on what they were studying, what their approach was by looking at their area of flooding. We would also like to apply this towards the legacy mixed-use town center areas as we're going forward and thinking about where should we plant trees, where should we build, what does the ground actually look like now and in the future. We also want to incorporate and collaborate with the Department of the Environment in the urban tree grant, the 5 million trees and some amount of trees that are going to be planted in Brentwood, because it's a very specific targeted activity. And they're also coupling it with training master gardeners to be able to go to residents' homes and say, oh, you want to have a tree? Let's look at your stormwater issues. But they're looking at it through a very narrow lens, which is a needed lens, but we also want to broaden that out and not just think about where to plant trees or where you could have a native plant garden, but what does it look like for promoting community resiliency, being prepared for what can happen, being prepared for what will happen, maybe even in the next week as it starts flooding and raining and we've had a drought. So those are the aspects that we're interested in pursuing. It would complement the Prince George's County and the state of Maryland conservation landscaping programs as well, along with the Community Blitz project that I already mentioned. And we do have community residential support who are working on the grant and are interested in developing this. So it's a comprehensive town group, who's interested in doing this for the town. So, any other questions?
May I?
Comments?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. You obviously have done your homework. And I like how everything's like intersecting. You had said at the beginning of your presentation how this is like sort of a small study, right? And it's not like enough money to do a full like climate resiliency study. So coming at this, not knowing a whole lot about it, the previous council had set aside $20,000 for a climate resiliency study. So my question is, if we had $20,000 matching to go with this $20,000, would that allow you to? Would that sort of change the scope of the project? And could we get a climate resiliency holistic sort of study done for $40,000?
That's great to know. I would rather pursue that
Separately?
funding. PEPCO is encouraging that there be some kind of in-kind contribution, whether it be volunteer work or whether it be some amount of funding, or it doesn't have to be matching. It would be great to maybe consider $5,000 towards this and have a really specific scope on this, and use the remaining 15,000 either, you know, possibly expanding the flood research. I'm not sure at this point. I'm going to say that that's my true answer is I don't know. But I would say that I would prefer that that funding be considered in the case that when we're, in my next presentation, I'm working with the CPPC, who have $85,000 and are in the PAMC and are interested in working with us to create a holistic climate action plan, that we ask them if there's any need for us to also add additional funds there. If there aren't, that's great. Let's use that funding from the Maryland Parks and Planning just for the climate action plan.
Sure.
Let's maybe add a little towards the PEPCO grant. Because it's so competitive, I'm not sure, you know, we did go to the open grant meeting with them, a resident and I did, and we talked to them about what they're looking for, but it's gonna be so competitive this
So they're
year.
giving out two?
Two.
Okay.
All
right, so we'll save the 20,000 for something else.
Right, I
Okay.
mean, 5,000 would be great to show
Sure.
that we're actually interested in investing in this and we're concerned about it and we do, you know, so a commitment would be great, but it also could come from volunteer time, which is something that I was looking at through the green team.
Do they quantify that volunteer time?
No,
Oh, really? So you don't have to say, well, we'll
no,
donate
wait.
40 hours
let me
of volunteer time.
dial that back. I'm not sure. I haven't, yeah,
Because, I mean, if we can just,
yeah,
okay.
haven't reached that part in the financial budgeting statement, yeah.
Great.
But I would rather not incorporate that necessarily at this moment, because I think there are going to be things that come out of the strategy. The strategy will, the PEPCO's grant needs to be completed. It starts the beginning of November 1st of this year and is completed by the end of October next year. I know we'll reconvene and we'll talk about the next budget for the next year, but I would rather take that and adopt it towards the strategy implementation.
Sure.
Or climate action plan, the things that come from the PAMC
Mhm.
program, and like, okay, now we know this, what are we gonna do with it? And of
Understood.
course, both are looking at actionable, affordable, what can the town actually achieve, not grandiose, lift every house up off the ground, you know, with
Sure.
electronic legs or something.
And it sounds like the focus is really how can we help the residents
Yes.
not be so impacted by climate change,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
key. That's great.
And looking at it through our diversity lens, knowing that we have not, you know, not everybody's speaking English as their primary language. We're also an underserved population. We're, you know, so many different concerns about educating and informing people about the information that's out there. And there is some information and a lot of research that's been done, but compiling it and really narrowly focusing it for our town specifically and our residents is what we're interested in doing, because it is such an issue.
That's great.
So those sandbags, we would know where to place them. We would have an answer.
Well, we do. We already know. The county told us that, but I hear what you're
Yes,
saying.
yes,
Yeah. So what you need from us is approval to not just submit the application, but also to have some matching funds, right? Is that part of the conversation today? Or not yet? That part comes later.
Well, I would like to request $5,000 from the town to contribute towards the application, so that when we apply to PEPCO, we would also ask for a small contribution from the town to show that we are financially invested and we do care about this and we're interested in pursuing this plan, this assessment and strategies to provide to the town residents. I would like to ask for that.
And with it, I mean, are we thinking like from the contingency fund? Are we thinking from ARPA funds? Like, where would you think would be the best place to pull that $5,000 from?
I look forward to having that discussion with the treasurer in the future. But at this point, I would look to the council and mayor for recommendations.
Yeah, I mean,
and the
I don't
treasurer as
know. I
well.
mean,
Both of those are, well, I think most of our ARPA money has been earmarked.
sure.
But
We
the
are gonna-
But the contingency hasn't. But do we have something in ARPA already in regards to this?
For like climate
I don't
resiliency
ha-
stuff?
yeah, I don't
Well, we
have-
have the 20,000 that we set aside for a climate resiliency study. That was Councilmember Monroe's.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
One
And
of
that
his.
So
And
it's,
we
you
didn't
know what,
know
it's
what-
5K, we can just take it from the contingency,
Right, and that
yeah.
and to be, like we didn't really know at that time. We knew we needed to earmark it. It was a common both, and it's also a passion project for me. I know I wanted to just at least place it there, not knowing what we would do in the next term. And so this has been a great, item to pop up because I think it can kind of alleviate needing to use that $20,000. Like if we can get the free money, let's just go with that and then keep the money to the side. And like you were saying, we can potentially use it either to expand or enhance the climate resiliency or be earmarked for something else.
Okay.
TBD at that, but I like the $5,000 commitment. I think that's
You
reasonable.
want to amend your motion
Yes,
to
please.
include?
Yes, please. Are there any other questions? I'd like to make a motion to approve the submittal of an application on July 6th for the $20,000 Pepco Sustainable Community Resiliency Grant, as well as council approval for $5,000 to be pledged towards that effort.
Sounds good. Okay. If there's no other question, we can go.
Councilmember Rhodes,
Heck yes.
Councilmember Marcus Monroe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stefan Leggett,
Yes.
Mayor Rocio Tremino Lopez.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you all for your support, truly.
Thank you for
Thank
all
you
your
for
work
taking
that
Yeah.
went into that.
Next item.
You're just gonna make every
Safe-
meeting interesting, aren't you?
The Safe Street for All grant application. Who submitted that?
That's me. Just follow the rules. Motion to submit an application on July 10th for the Safe Streets for All Planning and Demonstration Grant with a matching amount not to exceed $40,000. And
Coming from,
coming from a location to be determined. Because we needed the treasurer to help us out last time.
Do we have to transfer some money, or you're gonna use the contingency funds? Because we already have that in here, and today is the last time to do any line item transfers.
So now that can I add context now that the discussion's open?
So I guess my question is, and this actually goes back to the money we just approved. So these dollars aren't actually going to get spent until next year, which means if we're approving these, then I may need to do an amendment to our budget to go back and include these items.
they wouldn't get spent till next year.
No, 'cause
So-
Fiscal year.
But you're approving money for this year, correct?
Well, when we're talking about the Pepco grants, I mean, that would be October, November, right?
Yes, that would be November of this year, November 2023.
yeah, it's next fiscal year.
Okay, I just
So,
want to
but
make
we didn't
sure that
budget
when
for it.
we're
Right.
speaking.
I'm just going back
that we're
because
speaking FY '24
Yeah.
budget and not
That-
'23
this one.
budget. Because if
Okay.
it's '23 budget that
Oh,
you're
I see.
earmarking dollars
Right.
for, I would need to do a budget amendment.
No, I think
To
it's
it.
24, right?
Okay,
Because I mean, that starts
Yeah.
July
Okay.
1st, right?
it does.
Okay.
I just,
Yes.
so we're clear. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But that still leads me to ask, like, where we would find $40,000
yeah.
for the
because we didn't budget for that. But-
SS4A grant application, which I'm all in favor of
Mhm.
if it doesn't completely bleed our contingency, because I thought that was around 86,000 for next year.
Yeah,
So I mean, do we
84,
want to pledge
86,
half of
something
our
like that.
contingency to this?
Mhm.
How much are we applying for?
So, two things. One is I wasn't quite sure the final amount because of the last meeting. When the treasurer was there, we were trying to determine whether or not it could potentially come from highway user fund. And we also knew we couldn't match it from ARPA. So it was a flat out question mark. Some of the applications for towns that are around our size are around, they've gone anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000 plus.
Okay.
I'm using $200,000 as a starting number, so 20% match is required, and 20% would be 40,000. The reason why I said up to 40,000 is because matching, an eligible activity for matching also includes staff time and in-kind. So in theory, we could also not use the full amount. So because I didn't know enough until this moment, I just made the motion that way. But I'm hoping that we can earmark highway user revenue. I'm also not sure if it needs to be the full 40,000, just to be transparent. I mean, it's whatever we can match is the match.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to add to, yeah.
I don't know enough about highway user, but it's not federal funding, right? Because I don't think we can match with federal funds, right?
No,
Yeah.
No.
highway user state.
Right.
But I think Gaston just pretty much took all of the highway user revenue. However, again, this would, because this is just this is a project, correct?
It is. So we all know we want to go after it. It's just the reality of what we can do for a match from a small town. So then if the pod gets smaller, then the project scope gets smaller for the plan. And then this is to create a plan. And they also give you money for small, quick, actionable demonstration activities, which is like you go out and redo an intersection or add a stop sign or add a camera. Basically anything you can do around traffic safety, you could get money out of this pot to go towards it. Plus if we use a study estimate we got was a $38,000. So let's say $38,000 could be for the plan. And then all that other money could be for the quick demonstration activities that we could do around town, depending on speed bumps to cameras to lights.
Right, so
So-
I'm not ready to earmark any of the FY 2024 budgeted money
Right.
for this project, but it's something we can certainly revisit later when the time comes. However, what we could do is, instead of trying to pay for it from new monies coming in, you could look at some of our fund balance. And so like public safety, account or the truest checking, we could use some of those funding. So it wouldn't be coming out of the general fund, so to speak.
Can I ask a clarifying question on it? So to make sure I understand the logic is that say revenue from speed camera, we could plan to use money from that in the future, you're saying? Is that the public revenue money you were discussing just now?
Yes.
That, okay. But because we don't know the amount technically in FY '24, we plan for that, and then the backup plan would be to take it from, you mentioned one of the checking accounts, the contingency
Yes.
fund.
Yes.
If the public safety revenue isn't to the level
Right.
that
right.
we plan for. Okay. I don't know, Mayor, I'm interested.
So
yeah.
basically, it's a matter of, are we gonna use fund balance, which is basically money we've already earned in the past, as opposed to trying to match that 40,000 in expenses with current revenues coming in for the year, because you kind of match, well, never mind, I don't want to confuse anybody.
Sure.
But, yeah.
And-
So one, you're taking money that we've already kind of like saved and put aside. The other, it's actually using revenues from that year to pay for the expense. Does that make sense to everyone?
It does. So one way we could also approach it is, again, the application's not due until July 10th. We have one more, we aren't meeting in July. I was trying to think if we got any new information from the speed cameras in the next few weeks that would let us know whether or not the revenue's trending in a good direction, but
Well,
we could also make it 20,000, you know what I
I think
mean?
it's definitely trending in a good direction, but, even if we didn't match that with current year revenues, we definitely have the funds and to be
Gotcha.
able to, expend the 40,000.
Yes, and I'm willing to listen to all opinions. This is the first time for us to apply for this, and I'm always conservative when it comes to like leveraging funds we technically have never tapped in this way before. So I just want to make sure we get all input from everyone.
Right.
And like I said, it needs to be 20,000 as opposed to 40,000. I'm amenable to that as well. I think I'm just trying to figure out like what's the right number to go after based on the information we have at hand, which is mostly the traffic study estimates that we developed, as well as historical information about public works projects that we can kind of leverage to say, we've done this project, it cost this much in the past, and maybe 100,000, for example, is a good number, knowing that we still get a plan plus some demonstration activities out of it. So I'm not tied to I'm not tied to $200,000 at all. I do want it to be the right number for our town. So,
Right.
Do I remember you saying that $200,000 was what you saw other municipalities of our size requesting?
Yeah, and a lot of them were larger. The closest one in size got around to that number,
Okay.
but they were, I think, 10,000. I can double check
Oh, okay.
population. So
Okay.
coming in under that is reasonable.
Sure.
Um,
Of course, for us, I think it doesn't just have to do with like the raw numbers of what our population is, because so much of our traffic is from outside of Brentwood, right? So
Yep.
that definitely skews the number versus some town in the middle of the country that, you know what I mean, that doesn't have the same sort of crosstown traffic that we have. So, I mean, I think 200,000 is reasonable, and I think it's it allows us to do everything probably a small town wants to do. As long as the treasurer feels like we have the funds without depleting our discretionary funds, then I mean, I'm all on board. I mean, it sounds to me like
You can write me a check. No,
All right, so
no, she's trying to get back to $5,000. No,
no.
it's fine.
All right, so public safety. So you're gonna amend your motion?
Yeah. So just amend my motion to include to strike out TBD and include public safety as a source of revenue for the grant.
All right. Any other questions?
Councilmember Lauren Rope,
Aye. Yes.
Councilmember Marcus Monroe,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stefan Leggett,
yes.
and Mayor Rocio Tremino Lopez.
Yes. All right, thank you. The next item in the agenda is the second reading of the shrub and trees ordinance.
I have so many pieces of paper.
Singing. It's contagious. I love
It's
it.
because it's getting late. It's getting late. Things
Yeah.
get goofy. All right,
And
so
we
this is
are
the second
half
reading
the agenda done.
of ordinance 2023-03. Whereas the life and health of the town of Brentwood's residents are our utmost priority, and whereas traffic crashes are among the leading causes of death and injury within the United States and the state of Maryland, and whereas traffic deaths and serious injuries in the United States have disproportionately impacted pedestrians, cyclists, people of color, low-income households, older adults and youth, people with disabilities, and households with limited vehicle access. And whereas it is the express interest of this town to avoid preventable accidents and deaths by maintaining clear lines of vision at intersections for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists, now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and council of the town of Brentwood that chapter 44-7, section 2 of the Brentwood Code is amended as follows. A, no person may maintain or allow to exist on the property which they own or which is in their possession or control trees, shrubs, hedges, or other vegetation or projecting overhanging limbs thereof, which obstruct the view necessary for the safe operation of motor vehicles or otherwise cause danger to the public in the use of town streets. It shall be the duty of the person who owns, possesses, or controls the property to remove or trim and keep trimmed any obstructions to the view. No hedge no hedge bordering within 3 feet of any public sidewalk, public street, or public path may grow to a height of more than 3 feet, measured from the surface of the sidewalk, grade, or path. C, a clear vision area shall be maintained on the corners of all property adjacent to an intersection. The clear vision area for all corner lots shall be that area within 25 feet of the corner of the property located at an intersection of 2 streets. D, a clear vision area shall contain no planting, wall, structure, or temporary or permanent obstruction, except for a utility pole, except when the height of the obstruction does not exceed 3 feet in height, measured from the top of the curb or where no curb exists from the street center line grade. Trees exceeding this height may be located in this area. All branches and foliage are removed to the height of 8 feet above the grade. E, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance and any of the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall become effective at the expiration of 30 calendar days following its adoption. So concludes the second reading of ordinance 2023-03.
Thank you. So that, Mr. Gaston, the hearing doesn't have to be in a meeting day. So we can schedule the hearing for any other day to come and give feedback on that ordinance. So,
And Mayor, can I just make an administrative comment?
Yes.
So I just noticed, like with our agenda, the shrubs and trees ordinance, I thought it was standard practice to list like your resolution numbers and your ordinance numbers on the agenda. I don't know that it's required, but I do know for me, I don't know about anyone else, I had an ordinance number that has no reference to shrubs and trees, and then the agenda said shrubs and trees. It was just trying to match them up was a little challenging.
For sure. I think I was probably not clear when I communicated with the clerk about how I wanted it formatted, so that was my fault. But you're right, it should have, the language should be the same on both, right?
Yes.
Instead of being split up.
So what is the correct?
So it'd be ordinance 2023-03, an ordinance governing shrubs and trees.
2020-03.
2023-03.
Yes.
Okay. Shrubs and trees. Okay. And this is the second reading.
Yeah.
And in regards to the hearing,
Yes, we have to,
may I make a suggestion?
mhm.
Since you're doing public safety on July, would that be a good time to discuss that? Or since it is a public safety issue?
When would you be having? Will you be having a Public Works Committee meeting? That might be a
No.
great place.
To discuss it, or
Mhm.
have the hearing,
Mhm.
no time soon. Probably be best to schedule it separate from that. So,
I'm open.
I mean, are
We-
we, so we're not convening in July, is that what I'm hearing?
Mhm.
Oh, first time in years.
I know, right?
First- Mayor Tremino Lopez is very happy about that.
I'll still be around, but I don't want to be.
But yeah, can I drag everybody in for half an hour for our hearing? Is that okay?
When?
I don't know. Hold on a second. I'm looking.
Oh, do we need to be present at the hearing?
I would
I have
assume
to have a
so.
quorum. We do.
Yeah.
At least
Oh,
three.
then we couldn't do it at the Public Safety Committee meeting because that's in July. It's not August.
Yes, ma'am.
But thank you for the suggestion for efficiency's sake. I appreciate that.
Could we do it at the end of this month, July 30th?
June 30th,
I'm sorry, June 30th.
Friday.
Mm-hmm.
During the day?
No, like
Um,
6:30,
evening?
7. It'd only be for like half an hour, unless like there's 1,000 people that come out to talk.
It will be virtual to assist with maximum attendance, because some people may find Friday afternoon challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'd like to do a Zoom link like we did during COVID days.
Mm-hmm. I
Okay,
think that works.
okay.
It's right before 4th of July, so that's what I'm trying to think. Like,
That should-
we just wanna just
We
kinda
want to
be-
leave
Yeah,
And then with that, I would say Thursday instead of Friday.
That's fine.
Thursday.
sure.
Yeah.
Thursday, June, was that the 29th?
29th?
29.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Okay.
We
Mhm.
get back from MML
Zoom?
on Wednesday and that Thursday night have it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sunday.
And like, I don't remember how that like Zoom thing worked. Were you essentially the moderator, Mr. Gaston?
That was before my time. I didn't do many Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
We've been in person since I've been here.
Right.
So I can definitely discuss it with Mr. Carl,
Okay.
and we can go from
Yeah.
there.
We did it. So,
Yeah, we have a Zoom account, and
Mhm.
we would just have the virtual hearings on those. I mean,
I think different ones took the wheel. I think you drove sometimes. I think
most
I
part it was
did.
me.
Was
Yeah,
it
I think
you?
it was you
Okay.
most of the time.
Yeah.
Most
I,
of
don't-
it.
I never moderated them. Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
it was
the town
Councilwoman.
clerk would throw it to me, and then I'll moderate. But
6 p.m.
2303.
6 p.m. Hearing is gonna be a hearing.
Okay.
And
Can we do it later than 6, just to give more people a chance to get home if they need to? 6:30 even?
6:30. That's
Is it
what.
okay?
Jason, I have a question on that. So if we have the hearing online, can we do a special meeting follows to do the approval of the ordinance?
Absolutely. You just have to follow your council rules on establishing a special meeting.
Mm-hmm.
You have a public hearing and then immediately go into the special meeting.
Okay,
I like that.
thank you. Yeah,
So
that sounds great.
hearing-
Yeah.
That's done?
Then special meeting.
Yes, a special meeting of the mayor and council,
We'll call it 7.
hearing, yes,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
perfect.
that's
6:30.
7,
We'll call it
yeah.
7.
6:30.
Sorry, may I ask a question, Chair Mayor of the universe? I'm kidding. Isn't there a comment period or something, an open period, or is it just you have, I thought there was something about 30 days or something? No, it's just you
Well-
have a hearing and then you're,
And then it's like pass within 30 days, right?
Pass
So,
within 30 days.
so
Okay.
like
And
people
it's
have,
gonna be effective, correct?
right,
Yeah.
right. So it doesn't go into effect for 30 days.
so between now and next Thursday, we need to ramp up telling people that this is happening, the hearing?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, cool. Just wanted to check.
that will be 7 days, 10 days, Mr. More than that,
Nine.
right?
9 days.
To notify, so you have to put that,
We can
Is there-
include it in the news you can use, Mr. Gaston.
yes.
In fact, I'll email you that little slide presentation that I gave last time with all the nice pictures. Maybe you can link to that.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
call this the 20.
And this is just a suggestions, the addresses that we have identified that have that issue, we can do like a small flyer and giving them the Zoom link to go into that.
Oh, okay, like stick it in their doorway kind of
Yeah.
flyer.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I love doing that. I love knocking on doors and leaving flyers.
You and me.
You know I do. I'm serious. Okay, I'm doing it. Will you help me make the flyer? Councilmember
That's-
Ralph.
No,
Oh,
Mr.
later.
Moran has
you are
greater exceptional design skills for flyers. Honestly,
Delegation
I'm
at
not,
its best.
no, I'm not
Okay.
delegating. He really, I will be happy to help. I'm happy to help.
great.
Absolutely. This is so important. Town
Let's
safety.
shrink our conversations because I'm trying to get through this agenda.
This is wonderful. I
All
like
right,
it.
so it's done, Mr. Gaston, you have it?
Yeah, just make sure we're clear. So
Okay.
2003 shrubs and trees ordinance hearing June 29th. June 29th.
6:30.
6:30 p.m. Then the special meeting.
It's 7,
Will be at 7.
yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
That would be Thursday, by the way.
Yeah, Thursday, June 29th. Next item in the agenda, we go into the new business, and I looking for a motion to approve the purchase for soccer goals for Bartlett Park. The town administrator have provided the 3 quotes.
I did. So, Mayor, as you may or may not know, or the town and council, our soccer goals have seen better days. And with that being said, we are asking for the town to pay for new and improved goals. And these goals will actually be a little bit more sturdier. And in that way, hold on, I'm trying to find it. Here we go. Sorry about that. 2023. No, that's not what I want. Here we go. There it is. And, oh no, that's not it either. June, let me get to it. There we go. All right, so council meeting, soccer goals. So I'm going to share my screen. Here is our current state of our soccer goals. They're not in the best of shape. Give me 1 second so I can share my screen. Oh gosh, I'm not. We must be having Wi-Fi issues because I'm not. Yeah, we're having Wi-Fi issues, so I can't. Or Zoom, okay. Hopefully I can share this. So I'm sharing the screen. This is our current state of our, yeah, that's it. Of our goal. That's one of them. And then the other one is actually no longer with us. We actually got rid of it because it was in such bad shape. So this is the other one. And hopefully you can see this one. Mr. Carl. Am I not?
Yes, we are able to see it on the TV in here at least.
Gotcha. So give me 1 second. Let me share this again. So this one is gone. We actually got rid of this one. Hopefully you can see this. There it is. This one is actually gone. We got rid of this one. And what we'd like to do is to improve them with something a little bit more robust. And that would be this. And let me stop share. Let me share it again. And that would be these. And so hopefully, there we go. So these are a little bit more sturdier. They're thicker. They're not as easily to move either. They can be moved, but they're not as easily moved. And they are, give me the 9 by 14.
6 by 12.
There you go, 6 by 12. So they're standardized, and we have 3 quotes. And I will give you those in one hot second.
What is your recommendation, Mr. Gas?
I will say From the three quotes, one of the quotes is a 4x8, I believe. So that was a little bit more smaller.
This one?
The other one, playground, not the playground one.
Okay,
Yeah. One is $1,000. But the other ones are mostly 6x12, 3-inch frames as well. So a little bit more secure and sturdy, like Mr. Gaston has said. That one's like a $2,000 one.
So the quotes we have, one is 2,500. I'm sorry, 2,848, and then the other one is
What numbers are
2,570, and this is actually through Playground Specialists, who are the playground specialists who does.
There's, playground specialist is the smaller of the three,
Um,
if I understood Mr. Moran correctly.
that?
it's the 4x9.
Right, that's the smaller one,
Yeah, that is the smaller one.
right? Because the other two are 6x12.
Correct.
But in terms of the small field that we have, what would you think will be best
Nine.
suitable? The 4.5 times 9 or the 6x12?
For me, I'd say the 6x12, just because the 4x9 is a little bit more small, a little bit more condensed. So kids can like hang on it a little bit more easier and stuff like that, and it's a little bit more easier to break.
And
What we don't want is the kids hanging on them. They're for kicking the ball in, and we're limited with space in Bartlett Park. Right now, the 4x9s or 4x5x9 is the better choice because of we have a park, but we don't have a big park, and that area is with the people traveling through, walking on all sides of the goals. I just think they're concentrating into a smaller area for safety reasons, and due to our space that we have for the soccer field, that would be a better choice.
And
I
I
agree with
just-
the chief.
one question, are we only buying one goal, not two?
Two.
Because is this priced for two or one?
It's pair. It's a one.
Oh,
it's a pair.
okay, it comes in pairs. Oh, okay, I see it there. I didn't see it on some of the other ones. I was like, are we only buying one for this price?
Do I have a motion on the floor?
Can I ask another question before the motion? Do we have a long-term plan for that space? I don't know much about soccer, and, I know about soccer, but I don't know about playing on preferred grass or ground. Is it okay that it's dirt and that do we have a long-term vision for that space? Not only like, hey, let's just get new goals, which I think is really important because kids are playing soccer this summer, so this is an immediate need, but also recognizing that less kids are playing soccer because now they're going to boxing. And so what is the larger plan for the park, do we know?
No, we don't want to discourage our kids to stop playing soccer,
No,
but
not at
one
all.
of the things
Yeah.
that Mr. Gaston mentioned at the beginning of his report is that he's seeking grants for refacing the park.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, okay.
Right,
Great.
yeah. So the plan is to totally redo the park. It has an irrigation issue,
Yes.
and it turns into Lake Brentwood. One of the reasons that the quote-unquote kids aren't playing soccer as much is because the goals are not, they just need to be replaced.
Yeah.
we need to-
So they're
Right.
not encouraged to play.
Okay.
So
Thank
the
you.
plan is to have someone come in, redo the park totally, have it irrigated so that when it rains, it actually
And
just.
these would probably last through that time period, right?
Correct.
Until
Yes,
like
these are, yes.
something
More
long-term, very
long-term,
sturdy, it's
yes.
gonna. yeah.
Correct, yes, and hopefully they won't, like you said, hang on them. I've never seen
Kids
that.
are gonna
They
hang on
will.
them.
Of course they will.
That's the whole idea. Like
I did
after you
that,
make the goal, you hang from there.
How do you know it's kids doing it anyway?
That's how we do it.
Once we get a permanent solution and get some AstroTurf or something put down, and we can have them hang on them with a permanent soccer goal in place.
You know, you fall, you get scratched. What are you gonna do? You know?
All right, I need a motion before discussion, so, because we tend to do the discussion before the motion.
Whoops.
All right, so I need a motion to purchase.
I make a motion to purchase 2 soccer goals for Bartlett Park.
One pair.
Hmm?
One pair.
And they're familiar with it.
Right. I said 2 soccer goals. Or 1 pair. But have we, so now that I've made the motion, do we know which one we want to go with? I know the chief has his recommendation. The town clerk has his recommendation. What does council think?
Oh, it seems to be the playground specialist.
Well, then
The good news about playground specialists is
Yeah.
they already maintain the playground equipment in and around the town of Bartlett Park. They've already made repairs to some, we pay for them to address some of the issues on our current playground and exercise equipment. And if there are any additional issues, we can always reach out to our rep and have him address them.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston. I make a motion to approve funding the amount of $5,140 for the purchase of a pair of soccer goals for Bartlett Park from Playground Specialist Incorporated.
2,000.
5,000?
You
2,000.
said 2,500?
2,500, he said 5.
You doubled it. A pair is 2,500.
Pair is 2,000?
Yes.
My fault. I'm so sorry. I make, so sorry.
It's
Math,
too late.
Math.
It's because that quantity says 1, right?
It does.
Yeah, I was expecting to see 2 for
I'm
2
so
goals.
sorry. I make a motion to approve funding the amount of $2,570 to purchase a pair of soccer goals from Playground Specialist from a line item to be determined by the treasurer.
Excellent.
Councilmember Lauren Roque,
Aye.
Councilmember Marcus Monroe,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stefan Legging,
Yes.
and Mayor Rocio Dominio Lopez.
Yes. Thank you.
Like
Soccer
I said,
is life.
Councilmember Taylor, I miss you.
Yes, we do. Okay, now we move to approve resolution to transfer appropriated funds.
Do we know what this was?
So with that, I have our treasurer to tell us what we need, but first we need to do a
08.
motion.
Sure.
To
I make a
appropriate.
motion to approve a resolution for transfer of appropriated funds.
Did we waive the reading?
You?
You want me to read it?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So,
The moment you have been waiting for the last 2 hours.
woo-hoo, yes. Resolution 2023-08, Town of Brentwood, a resolution of the Mayor and Town Council of the Town of Brentwood authorizing transfers of appropriated funds in fiscal year 2023 budget to prevent over expenditure in certain line items or categories and providing for expiration date, conflicts, severability, and an effective date. Whereas the Town Charter, Chapter 6, Section 604, states no public money may be expended without having been approved and appropriated by the council, and whereas the Town Charter, Chapter 6, Section 605, requires any transfer of funds between major appropriations for different purposes must be approved by the council before becoming effective, and whereas the mayor and council appropriated funds for various departments in fiscal year 2023 budget,
Did you say resolution number?
Resolution 2023-08.
08 is not in here.
I missed that too. Sorry.
Okay, sorry for that.
Well, it was just given to me. I just kind of wrote it in, but I did say it when I started reading. Whereas certain line items may have expenditures that were not previously projected. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the town of Brentwood hereby endorses this resolution indicating their approval by signature hereof, and section 1, that the following transfer of funds between appropriations are authorized by the mayor and council for fiscal year 2023 budget. Section 2, specifically transfer funds between line items as follows. So we're going to transfer from unforeseen contingencies, $63,300 to be appropriated as follows: General Gov Workers' Comp, $10,000; General Gov Water Sewer, $3,000; General Gov Electric, $7,000; Brentwood Police Department Speed Camera Costs, $16,000; Sanitation Roll-Off, $5,000; Sanitation, Recycling, Tipping, and Other, $5,000; Recreation Town Expenditures or Activities, $4,000; Cable Salary, $2,500; Bartlett Park Expense Other, $6,300; Bartlett Park Expense Sprinkler, $4,500. Section 3, total transferred amount is $63,300. Section 4, conflicts and severability. All resolutions and parts of resolution in conflict with any other resolution and any other provisions of this resolution are hereby repealed. If any section or portion of a section of this resolution is found to be invalid, unlawful, or unconstitutional, it shall not be held to invalidate force or effect of any other section or part of this resolution. Section 6, effective date. This resolution shall become effective immediately upon its passage and adoption. Passed and adopted this 20th day of June 2023.
Excellent. Any questions in regards to the resolution?
Mayor, may I? Madam Treasurer, can you explain to me the 16,000 to the speed camera costs?
So these are admin costs associated with the speed camera that we pay to, I get, like Red Speed. And so even though we initially budgeted revenues for the speed camera, we did not budget for the administrative costs. We have to, when we record revenues for the speed camera, we have to record them at gross, not the net. So we record everything, and then it gets offset by, partially by those administrative costs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the only other question I have is the Bartlett Park expense of 6,300. What is this?
So I know we had some repairs, I can't recall what,
Bartlett
Gas, do
Park?
you recall the repairs at Bartlett Park? I know we had the sprinkler for 4,500 and 6,300. I can't recall what that is.
For the exercise equipment?
Was it the exercise equipment?
Exercise equipment.
Okay. I could not
Just-
recall, I saw
Yeah,
it.
it was exercise equipment. And this was the playground included along with the exercise equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And they repaired the, they repaired the ground and all that kind of stuff.
And my last question is the 4,000 for town activities. So we went over. That's something that we need to look up for the future because I've
Yes,
seen that
yes.
a
Mhm.
lot of purchases has been.
Well,
done
I will say
without-
this, we've had, and it's not
No,
necessarily
no,
a
no,
bad
I-
thing.
it's just-
I think
it's-
we've kind of stepped
just
up our
as a-
game a little bit in regards to our activities.
Agreed.
So us stepping up our game a little bit, coupled with just the rising cost of everything,
Yes, that's
inflation,
true.
that has had a huge impact on it.
Okay.
If I may, we've also added additional events. Juneteenth didn't exist.
Well, that's part of, we
Yeah,
stepped up
right,
our
right.
game.
And then the International Day versus Hispanic Day. We got both of those events, which are very.
They were budgeted. We have
So-
budgeted.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just, but the costs have just gone up for both of those. Right?
Yeah, so,
All right.
Yep.
Just for clarification. No,
Oh,
no,
it's
money.
fine, total transparency. I love it.
M-
Love being transparent.
Ma'am, and then we did movie night. We did movie night. I mean, we've been doing a lot of positive things here in the town.
Stepped up our
Porch
game.
Fest, oh, that ain't
Porch-
cost
I mean,
us
we've been
anything.
doing
That's
that.
right,
Step,
never
I'm,
mind.
okay, I'm gonna say it one more
Yeah,
time.
we need to
We
start.
have stepped up our game.
Yeah. Question?
One question, just to make sure I understand too. The speed camera costs, that's the administrative fee, but remind me what led us to all of this was that we were kind of getting hit with some crazy fees. That all got sorted out with the new contract, and we are not
Yes.
seeing any more crazy fees.
That is
No.
not accurate. My apologies.
Is that
With
a
all due
closed session
respect,
question?
yes.
Okay.
And our speed camera company, as of now, is Ultimate.
So we're out of, to repeat it though, the crazy fees that were happening last year are no longer an issue, or they
No,
are?
he's talking about those fees that were actually putting us like in the red.
Right.
What were they called? I can't recall.
I can't remember the name of it, that's why I said.
They were lookup fees.
Yeah, lookup fees.
Right, but we're not experiencing that at this time.
No,
Just had to ask, just wanna make sure that's not a,
no, we're actually making money now.
there we go.
Is that-
Are we actually making money now?
Yes, we are making money now.
Made it harder than it needed to, I'm sorry.
All right. Do we call the roll?
Councilmember Lauren Roque,
Yes.
Councilmember Marcus Monroe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stefan Legging,
Yes.
and Mayor Rocio Termino Lopez.
Yes. Approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Treasurer.
All right. Next item in the agenda is the schedule, the recess of this summer. And I would say I propose to have recess and we can reconvene on August 16th. Because the first meeting on August is gonna be National Night Out. Of course, any emergency meetings can happen at any time.
So quick, one,
Sorry, when did, sorry.
I
I'm sorry.
said that we should take a recess on the month of July,
Yeah,
but since we have a National Night Out event on that first, we don't have to have a meeting until the 16th.
15.
15, okay.
A Tuesday.
15,
Okay.
15, is it Tuesday?
Yeah,
I thought
it's
I saw
the third
16.
Tuesday. Okay.
15, I'm sorry, yes.
And Mayor, if I understand that, then that means for this residents, that means we have a meeting on the 15th and then the 29th. Is that what what we do? Or we just would have the
Just one
15th?
regular council
Okay.
meeting on the 15th,
Got it.
Of what? I'm sorry.
August.
August, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we'll be off all of July
Yes.
and the first part of August. Okay, that sounds great.
Yep. But, like I said, if there's any emergency meeting that we have to hold,
Sure.
we call that.
Sounds good.
So, all say yes? Yes.
Yes.
See you in
Excellent.
August. Peace out.
Don't
We-
call me. I'll call you. No, I won't call you either.
So the next meeting is August
15.
15th.
Well, the next meeting is June 29, but
Right.
yes.
Oh.
Okay. All right. I need a motion to approve handicap parking application for 4521 37th Street. And I said this the motion so we can
Okay,
discuss this.
yeah, I'll make a motion to approve handicap parking, I'm sorry, I'll make a motion to approve the application for handicap parking at 4521 37th Street, which I believe is in our packet somewhere. Somewhere. I think I know this property very well from my biking by it, actually. I'll look it up on Google
Yeah.
Maps.
Did she receive?
Chief Washington, was this did this come across
Oh,
your
yes,
desk,
yes,
the
yes.
handicap parking application?
Yes, sir.
Have you viewed the
Yes, I have.
property, and what's your take on it?
This property on 37th Street does not have a driveway.
That's what I thought.
And they actually went and got their license plate number. Do they get the handicap sticker?
She has all of those things that are required. She just doesn't have a driveway. And as a matter of fact, on Saturday, she makes her grocery store trips. She has to park 2 to 3 blocks away.
No, Chief, my question is if she or the person has already get the handicap.
Yes, she has a
sticker
handicap placard.
From Maryland.
Yes, ma'am.
Because,
She has a
when we
permit.
usually do paint the blue line or get the sign,
The-
it goes with the
With the
sticker
number.
number.
Right, she has a sticker number.
Okay.
That just wasn't included in the packet, but it has been reviewed and it's valid.
Well, you have to include it here because this is the petition. Do you have
I
to have
don't,
the
this,
number?
this particular, application, I don't know why you don't have the updated version, but there is a copy of it. It is approved and it's signed by me.
Oh, okay, so that's not what I have.
I mean, we have the handicap placard. We've seen it. It's valid. It's been checked. We had the application. I signed this already, but I don't think that the one that you were submitted in your packet was the one that was finalized.
Okay.
But,
Okay,
yeah,
Okay. That's all I need.
yes,
know.
ma'am.
That we have some paper trail.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. Questions? Any other questions? Yeah, it's actually 2 houses in a row that they don't have driveway. So we're still waiting for the other person to do the same, probably.
I mean, to me, it looks pretty
Mhm.
cut and dry. I mean, it's exactly why we get handicap permits.
Yep. All right, so any comments, questions? Mm-mm. So motion's on the floor, so if you all in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right, so it's approved. Thank you. So we're moving to the next item, which is a motion to purchase tickets, or actually a table, for PGCMA breakfast that our council member Taylor has been diligently working so hard with this, putting this together. So she deserves that we get the whole table.
Do we know how much the tickets are?
The tickets were 65 or
So the
85?
the tickets are 50, and then the table of 6 is 300.
So altogether, 300.
300 would be the
So
cost.
I
what
would,
I quoted.
I'd like to make a motion to approve funding in the amount of $300 to purchase breakfast tickets for the PGCMA breakfast at Maryland Municipal League Conference.
Yay. Any questions?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Yeah,
300.
so,
Who's gonna pick up these tickets once they're purchased?
I guess I will be, because I think I'm gonna be volunteering somewhere at the table.
Okay, and the table sits how many, 6?
6. So we have, Kiana doesn't need one, so we're gonna have,
And I don't need one, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
we're
'cause
gonna
you
have
guys
an
already-
extra one,
Right.
so it's gonna
Yeah.
be 3 tickets and 3 more, so anyone that wants or is willing to get up at 7:30?
Mm-hmm, yeah, it's early.
7
Well,
a.m.
that's what I said.
It starts at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
It
I'm sorry.
starts at 7 a.m.
Are there mimosas? I should have asked that first before we approved this.
Bring your own mimosas. All right, 6 tickets. All right, move to the next. MML closing general session tickets. Mr. Gaston, do we know how much those tickets are? Because last time we were like scratching our heads trying to get tickets last minute.
And I've got to say, I have not, I don't have
So
we
while
move
you
to the next
look
thing
it
while-
up, I'm gonna move to the next item, which is, I need approval for funding to attend the conference, NLC Conference City Summit registration. We're not doing the hotel yet because it's not until November, but we needed to register before June 30th.
And then for added context, this is the graduation event for the cohort that's been meeting, the 10 municipalities been meeting. So the mayor and I and Mr. Gaston would be, that would be like a graduation ceremony as well. So
That's great.
Do we know how much that is, Mr. Gaston, the registration for NLC?
it was for the summer conference?
No, the summit, yes, the summit.
registration, it was $1,900 for the tickets. One capped off and say $2,000, it's like $2,000.
Is anyone else from the council would like to attend to the National League of Cities City Summit?
No, thank you. Councilmember Ralph.
We're going to
Did you-
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, no. Oh, Atlanta? No, thank you. I make a motion to approve funding not to exceed $2,000 to register for the National League of Cities Conference City Summit in Atlanta.
Yes. Any questions?
And this will be the last event, like for the
Yeah,
program,
this is
basically?
For the program.
graduation, pretty
Right on,
much. Shelley, I have a question. Since this is not, we approving this, but it's, we need to pay for those registrations during this fiscal year. That's gonna come out this fiscal year or next?
Well, it depends.
Cause
It
we
can
still
co-
have
it
to
can come out of
buy,
this year, or I can
accommodations
put it
and-
to a prepaid and expense it for next year. What are the dates?
November,
November
like 11th.
18.
Yeah, so it's really a prepaid,
18 to the
yeah.
that's right.
19?
Do you want to
It's
include
3
the,
days, I know.
Yeah.
do you want to
I mean,
include the
it's not
hotel
material enough
situation
to
as
really
well?
worry about
No,
it,
You-
but,
because it's gonna be in the next fiscal year.
Fiscal year, okay. Because the
Yeah,
reason I'm
the
asking,
hotels are gonna definitely hit next year.
well, no, well, the
'Cause
reason I'm
You're just doing
asking,
registration fees.
so, okay, but the block of hotels, I'd like to get those.
We
sec-
still have time.
right?
That's fine. I'll put it all to a prepaid.
Okay.
And we'll expense it next year.
All right, so, no questions, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lauren Rout,
Yes.
Councilmember Marcus Monroe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stefan Legging,
Yes.
and Mayor Rocio Termino Lopez.
Yes. Thank you. And did you find the tickets?
I am still looking. Their site was down.
My
Can we-
internet's working weird.
Yeah. You know. All right, let me move to the next item, which is the, I'm looking for a motion to support the Better Bag Bill, PG County CB 32-2023.
Perfect.
Yep.
You have to make the motion?
I'm gonna practice. I'm gonna be fast, but I'd like your patience, please, and indulgence.
Hurry up.
Oh my God. Okay. I move that the Town of Brentwood Council, Mayor, and administration support a letter in support of the Better Bag Bill. It's a PG County Bill CB 32-2023, period.
Okay, that's the motion. Now, can you tell us what this is about?
Yes, I would like that we submit a letter to it's actually the hearing and request for information and support or opposition is actually happening today. So it would be great if we could send this right after this meeting. The proposed legislation will reduce the distribution of single-use carry-out bags, plastic bags, and incentivize the use of reusable bags and require retailers to charge a minimum fee for each paper bag, which also incentivizes consumers to bring their own bags when shopping. Our letter would say that we support a strong communications, educational, and outreach campaign to change consumer and commercial behaviors, and that we would encourage materials and outreach to be both in English and Spanish and other languages if available. That we would encourage a strong, diverse, and deep outreach plan to prevent economic barriers to our residents and our town businesses, and that this thorough outreach plan could also prevent additional burden downstream for the Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement. Supporting this bill would show that we are aiming for a concerted effort to curtail the industry of plastics at the source of plastic bag pollutants and shifts the environmental costs and efforts from residents to industry. Per the Prince George's County Office of Audits and Investigations, the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments database on litter cleanups in the Anacostia watershed, of which large part of it fall in Prince George's County, indicates that in 2022, litter cleanups at 16 different sites along these waterways revealed plastic bags were 32.5% of the trash picked up, nearly 1/3 of all trash. The legislative analysis also indicates that this, in terms of greenhouse gases and associated climate change, is astronomical. The legislative analysis also indicates, where did my eyes go? That Prince George's County alone uses 353 million plastic bags annually. The cost of this in terms of greenhouse gases and associated climate change is astronomical. Plastic bags in waterways and the oceans are often ingested by turtles, fish, and other aquatic life. About 34% of leatherback turtles have ingested plastics. Endocrine disruptors from chemical additives used in plastic products like bags have been associated with various cancers, birth defects, and immune system suppression in humans and wildlife. Plastic bags also take about 1,000 years to degrade in a landfill. Microplastics, i.e. plastic items that break down into tiny pieces, have been found in the Earth's deepest waters, on its highest mountains, and has been found in regular samples of household dust and human blood. By being charged a fee each time a customer is provided a bag, it reminds the customer that by using their own reusable bags, no fee is incurred. Additionally, the use of paper bags creates environmental problems, usually in the form of upstream impacts, such as raw material extraction, including trees, energy use, air and water pollution. Downstream impacts include landfill breakdown of the product and volume challenges, and as well the same thing with plastic bag litter issues. And that we would join, this letter would indicate that we, the town of Brentwood, are joining Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, Howard County, the city of Baltimore, and our neighbor College Park in banning plastic bag use and encouraging consumers to bring their own bags. Yes, and that's it.
As a boy from Baltimore, I can tell you the city did this a long time ago, and it was pretty smooth and easy. And there was a lot of talk about, well, it's going to impact low-income people, but that didn't really pan out So I'm in full support of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so only, you have
And
a
then just
comment?
one thing
Yes,
for
please.
clarification too, because I know this came up, there was a question for this before, but PGCMA did put in a letter of support for the bill as well, so I think
Yeah.
it should go through.
And, Mr. Moran, you can just put a small summary when you do your minutes. Don't do the whole ordinance thing, please. I'm in full support as well, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Thank you. All right.
I don't have a price because their site is down. I can't pull up their
All
the
right,
site. for
so
the
I
question
guess we
session.
will have to,
I can find out tomorrow when I
It's
give them a
usually
call.
like 60, 65?
yeah, I will say if it's under my
Not to exceed 70?
threshold,
It's not
I
gonna be,
can purchase them. Okay.
Hmm?
If it's under my threshold, I can purchase, that,
under 500.
under 500. The total number of tickets comes
Right.
to
How many
65
people
times
are
6.
how many people are attending total?
Well, there's 6 people at a table, right?
No, this is for the
No, this is
evening,
for the.
Oh, for the
yeah.
big party at
for
the
the
end.
big party. Well, we can find out.
Take me off.
I
I'm
know
not
you're
gonna-
not
yeah, I
going,
won't be there.
and then I will have to ask, the staff who would like to attend, and we go from there.
Attend what?
The party,
Closing
the
reception.
closing reception.
An MML?
Yes.
Get
to meet
the governor.
They got food? They have food?
Which is a great opportunity
That's pretty much what it
to
is.
It's
network.
networking.
It's networking. It's to network and to
I
also
know.
talk
I'm
to
just joking. I
officials
just wanna know
about
if it was right
important
food.
residential issues.
Good food, too.
I want to go.
Yeah.
All right, so you're choose to make the list. All right, so let's move to the next item.
It's down.
Okay. Which is a motion to support the MNC PPC Municipality and Communities, PAMC application.
Okay, I move that the council support the application to the Prince George's County Planning Department's Planning Assistance to Municipalities and Communities, PAMC program for Sustainability Action Plan for the town of Brentwood. Period.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Will there be any need for matching funds?
No.
Who will
But
be,
there-
who will be doing the work of applying for the grant?
Me.
I
And it's
approve.
actually, it's actually not a grant. It is an application that the MNCPPC staff are excited to work with us to produce. It's a very short application. It's just an indication to say, these are our goals, set forth what our interest is, can we work together? And then the staff actually take it to their supervisory board, whoever it is, to approve the $85,000 that they would work with their own already pre-contracted RFP contracts and put it out there to the bid of their team who have
Wow.
they've already contracted with in some capacity. I'm not sure how that works, but they put it out and say, this is what this is looking for. Here's, you guys know the routine. The company, whoever would say, hey, we'd like to do it. What we do need to do is commit to a resolution, which I have provided the language, and I believe it's also included in the handouts, because I did include it in my information. It might not be.
No, it's here.
Oh, it is?
2023-09?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
Do we have to approve the resolution as well?
We do in order for the application to go forward. And their budgeting cycle starts July 1st, so we're in perfect time to be at the front of the line. And since we're not meeting in July, it would be great if we could approve the resolution tonight as well, if possible.
All right, so we have to approve this motion with the application first, and then we do the motion to,
Okay.
We could combine them into one motion, right?
well, that too. I mean, it's up
Yeah.
to you if you want to
Can
throw
I-
your motion and
I'm going to
redo.
throw my motion, and I'm going to introduce a new motion.
Yeah.
All right, I move that the council support.
I make a motion.
May I make a motion? I make a motion to move? What
No,
is the
just,
moving?
I make a
Okay.
motion to.
Okay, I make a motion to support an application for the Prince George's County Planning Department's Planning Assistance to Municipalities and Communities, PAMC program for Sustainability Action Plan. And I also include in the motion that we support Resolution 2023-09, supporting an application to the Prince George's County Planning Department's Planning Assistance to Municipalities and Communities PAMC program for a Sustainability Action Plan.
Great,
Period.
great.
All right. So you wanna read your your resolution?
Yes, please.
Is it required?
Is it?
Jason, do we have, we
No,
are
it's not. It's a
required
serious
to read the
question.
resolution?
Yeah, have you read it before?
No?
No.
So you're required.
And I did share this with the attorney in advance. The attorney weighed in on the language, as did
Just
the.
read the motion,
Okay.
please, thank you.
As of
Looks
the
great.
MNCPPC. Whereas the mayor and council of the town of Brentwood established the Sustainability Committee with the charge to develop plans, implement programs, assist with educational opportunities, seek out opportunities to create a more sustainable environment through grants and educational opportunities, offer suggestions to improve municipal operations with sustainability initiatives that are environmentally and economically sound, and to pursue certification by Sustainable Maryland. And whereas the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, MNCPPC, Prince George's County Planning Department, offers financial assistance to municipalities under their Planning Assistance to Municipalities and Communities PAMC program for worthy planning projects that provide a benefit to the community. And whereas the town of Brentwood Mayor Council have established a working relationship with and previously received assistance from MNCPPC, and whereas the town of Brentwood has a proud heritage of addressing climate and environmental issues as they affect residents, visitors, natural resources, and our neighboring communities, but does not have a sustainability plan in alignment with the adopted Prince George's County Draft Climate Action Plan or Maryland's 2022 Climate Solutions Now Act. And whereas a sustainability plan for the town of Brentwood is an eligible project for PAMC funding, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the town of Brentwood that we express our support for application to the Prince George's County Planning Department for PAMC funding of a Brentwood sustainability plan for the community. Read, passed, and adopted this 20th day of June 2023.
All right. Any questions? No?
No,
Since
thank
it's
you.
the back, I'm
Yeah,
just
good.
gonna call the roll.
That's great.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes, please.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leggett,
Yes.
Mayor Tremino Lopez. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next side,
Yeah, no, this is good.
and the
I mean,
agenda is a motion
Steph is
to
moving forward.
remove or consider the petition from the resident at 4420 839th Street.
Is that? This is the.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, that's Mr. Sangles.
So maybe, and it's tough for me to make a motion. I'm just trying to figure out maybe what the town administrator's recommendation is on this one. Is there a recommendation from staff?
Okay.
Just, no. I just killed the tree.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so this, I don't, the tree probably needs to go. My only concern is that it's on private property. Okay.
I mean, continue, Mr. Gaston.
I mean, according to the plot, but that's on them. I mean, that the town can make that determination.
May I, Chair and Mr. Gaston?
Yep.
We actually, Mr. Gaston and I talked about this previously, and there seems to be some complications where trees historically have been planted by previous previous councils, possibly administrations of the town, but there's no evidence to be found as of yet that is concretely documented. It could be somewhere, but we haven't found it yet. I think that this is an issue that's happening in other residence spaces as well, where it could be a publicly planted tree previously, but it might be growing or part of private property, depending on lines. And one of the suggestions that we made was that the Sustainable Brentwood Green Team Tree Committee work on developing a proposal for the council and town to approve for the approach in the future to take in regards to trees that are in these gray areas, where it's public or private, but not specifically exactly outlined as being specifically on private land or historically planted by the town, et cetera. But take a study and create a proposal. But in the meantime, we need to address these issues. And I don't know all the parameters around the tree, but I think that we, might want to consider assisting this resident with this issue, considering the past concerns that they've had. I'm not sure if the town administrator has spoken with the attorney regarding any of this, or the treasurer with the costs and funds. I'd be curious to know about that.
Yeah. I only want to say that it wasn't until 2016 that we actually created a planting plan when Councilmember Burgess came on board, because in the past, they were just randomly planting trees. And in a lot of instances, they were planting, never consider whether they were close to the power lines. And so that was one of the things that we request, that we need to have a plan to plant these trees around town. So, but this is, I have to say, this is my neighbor, so I know all the things that they have been going through the years with this tree, huge tree. And I guess providing these pictures, they have a lot of, this is the only one they provided, but they have a lot of history in town. They've been there for 1959, that's the first time owners in there. And as you can see, the fence, the tree was outside the fence.
Now, I know that generally speaking, like rule of thumb, if you're walking down the sidewalk and you see a water meter, and that's sort of the property line, right? You know what I mean? But there's no sidewalk here, and I don't know where there's a property line. And so when I look at this, I think it doesn't matter who planted it. Now, and then let me back up and say that if this tree is this size in 1978, it's an oak tree. So, I mean, that was planted in at least like 1958. Do you know what I mean? So, like, who knows who the heck planted it is my point. But if it's on town property, then it's our responsibility regardless of who planted it. However, my concern would be if it's on their property, I think without clear direction, either in the form of what Councilmember Rauch is suggesting or a professional survey, I don't think we should move forward on this at all, because I think it could open up a whole can of worms for other folks who are in similar situations. So I don't know if I can decide on this tonight. I think I either would need like a survey to show me exactly where this tree falls, or I would need clear language from a committee to help guide the decision. That's how I'm feeling.
Sorry, just make sure I'm hearing it correctly. There's a dispute on the property line, and your understanding of it, Mr. Gasson, is that it is not on town property? I just want to be clear on like what we're saying tonight.
Right. So that's I'm not saying I'm correct,
Okay. Gotcha.
but the way town properties are done, generally the water meter that's in your yard, everything that's from the street to your water meter is considered public. Everything on the other side of it, from the water meter to your home, is private. This tree is 1/4 of the way in public, but 3/4 of it's in private. If that's my suggestion is, as Vice Mayor Leggett says, be happy to get one of our current companies to do a quick survey, and we could address this. A picture from 19 whatever with a fence doesn't indicate
Yeah.
that that's private or public. A lot of our residents have fences and they didn't put the fence on the property line. They put the fence where they wanted it, and there's no guarantee that where they put the fence, just because you put the fence, that's not saying that that's the property line. That's just where you put the fence.
My neighbors, we have trees that straddle our property, and so when my neighbors built their fence, they put it on their side. And I often wonder what's going to happen when me and my neighbors move out, because then folks are just going to think the property line is in a different place because of where the fence has been built.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is the back then the popular tree to build, to plant was what's it called? The locust. The locust. And those trees unfortunately have a lifespan which has turned out to be about 40 years. Exactly. So the tree is now in a bad space. My only concern is where it actually lies, because when you take down a tree, you're talking about at least $2,500 to $5,000, depending on how big the tree is.
Right.
That's per tree.
So I think my last comment is just that I agree with what the vice mayor just spoke of, and I think if we can continue doing what we've been doing, which is we've been trying to validate as much as we could, because it feels like this is like the 10th time over the last couple of years, but in these situations, we do try to identify where it actually is, whether it's on ours or not. And in places it's not clear, we make a determination at that point, but I agree that I need to know exactly where that line is, or at least attempt to find where the line is on the property first, and have that information in front of us. I know that punts us into August, but at least just to be consistent with what was been talked about in the last 2 years, we need to at least try to figure out the line in the sand.
If I may, what I can do is ask our company to do a quick survey,
Right.
not the town, but just their property,
Okay.
and find out what that cost is. They can do the survey, and then we can if it's ours, we'll cut it. If it's theirs, we'll turn it over to them.
Correct.
And I can do that within the next week.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes complete sense.
I would go with our current company, though. They're doing the town line
Correct.
from Wyndham to the railroad tracks.
Oh, right.
It's right. It's next to the mayor's house, 4428 39th Street.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part of that conversation. The company is just doing their job. You know what I mean?
No.
And I
39th Street.
think a survey of this.
Have they done this in the, I'm sorry, have they done this in the past? In our town, looked at where trees are located and done a survey? This company, our company?
Not to look at trees specifically, but to do I guess they did, because the border between Brentwood and North Brentwood, I remember a few meetings ago, there was that tree that fell on someone's property, and two trees. And so that was to determine who owned that tree, and it was actually learned that it was the resident's tree, right? It was North Brentwood's tree.
North Brentwood's tree.
Yeah. We learned a lot of things. We actually learned that the Wyndham Road barrier is in North Brentwood, and all this time they could have taken it down without the permission of Brentwood. Interesting fun fact.
Wow.
Correct.
Bad fact.
So we have
Yeah, okay.
so we have used this company to
Okay.
determine where trees are, and their job is just to determine the lines, and then we decide there and that. And I think a survey of this boundary would help inform your committee's deliberations. Do you know what I mean? So I think it could be helpful in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think the concept of getting the survey done fast, though, quickly is beneficial to the resident, considering the financial issues they've already had to deal with. And I think the committee is gonna take a longer time to deliberate and do research, so I wouldn't rely on them to come back
Understood.
quickly,
Sure.
to make this decision. But a longer term vision around, where is this issue, and what would we recommend to the town for
Right.
taking steps?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when we have
Contribute, but-
when we have some data that
Yes.
would tell us
Yes.
10% of the tree is on this side, or whatever it is, that'll help
Yeah.
us make a much better decision.
Right.
Because again, I'm always concerned about precedent. Attorney Deloach.
Can I make a recommendation that you do this as soon as possible? You get the survey done as soon as possible, okay? Because the question is whether or not it belongs to us or belongs to them.
Right.
And we need to figure that out immediately because they say they have large branches that are falling down.
Right.
So,
Makes sense.
I mean, and maybe we need to, and I'll talk to Mr. Gaston offline about this, but maybe we need to do the best we can to secure the area until we find out, put up warning signs, barrels,
Yes.
to keep people from walking by there until we make this determination.
Okay.
Because if
That's
something
smart.
happens in the interim and we find, and it's our tree,
Right.
so,
Okay.
because we're aware of the issue now.
Correct.
And
That makes
I
sense.
have one more question for you, Attorney, since this is, although it's not require signature, it's a petition from the residents. And according to our charter, it says that we have 30 days. So how's that going to play out?
Well, I think we can get the survey done fairly quickly. And I think that's going to drive what you need to do here. Survey says it's theirs, petition is denied. Survey says it's ours, we grant the petition and we move forward to secure the tree. So I think we can get that done in 30 days.
Do we need to be a council meeting to, if it's our tree, to move forward on that petition? Do we-
What
or
you
can
may
we-
want to do is you
want
may
the meeting.
want to give Mr. Gaston authorization here tonight. If it is something that to move forward in securing the tree, that's to move forward to getting the tree secured or removed. And then you won't have to, you can
Let that go.
grant the petition when you come back. Okay, or you may even be able to do it at the special meeting, who knows? How quickly we can get the survey done. So, but yeah, I mean, technically the petition is gonna have to be approved by a vote of the council, but it doesn't mean that you can't start acting on the petition, meaning securing the tree before you actually grant the petition.
And we
If that makes sense.
It does, and we can give Mr. Gaston the authority to make the determination as to whether to cut it down or
Right.
not, based on the findings from the survey.
That is correct.
And we'll have, okay, thank you. And as a council, we'll have to decide what those findings would look like, which would determine one thing or another, right? Is it more than 50% one way or the other? Is it more than, I don't know, whatever, you know? 75%?
Well, the findings from the company should, there's got to be Maryland law that just says if it's X or Y, it's X or Y. And then it's yes or no, it's yours or theirs. So I imagine the company would know that law, that if it's, 52% or 50, they would have that information and be able to say definitively whose it is,
So
hopefully.
what the council, or what the company does is they review all plats going all the way back, and they actually go out and do the measurements, and then they determine where the property lines are. That's exactly what happened with the quote-unquote no man's land. The no man's land was determined to be on town property, and then the woods for the no man's land was actually in North Brentwood. So between North Brentwood and those residents, they could actually claim that land and call it theirs. But that's an issue for North Brentwood.
Would
But
they
that's-
be able to drill down to such specificity as to say more than half this tree is on this side of the line?
Most definitely. So if you take a walk over by the Wyndham Road area, you will see wooden posts in the ground, and those wooden posts are indicating where the town lines are. The perfect example is at 39th and Wyndham. Their fence is actually on their side, but their property line is actually a little further out, and it's a wooden post in the ground, and it indicates that on this side is theirs, and that's what they do.
Chief, did you have something?
I just wanted to ask the question with easements of property, and this is a legal question for you, Attorney Deloach. If there's no sidewalk, does that 8 foot out the window, or such as this picture? Because I understand that we want to get a proper survey, but if there's something in the law that says that the easement has something
Well,
to
if
do
it,
with it or not, maybe we won't have to pay for that survey, because there is a such thing as an easement,
yeah, but that would be in the public records.
property search. So we have the lot, the owner, and the pertinent information in there. I just wanted us to take a look at that prior to contracting the firm to do the work and to see if the easement had anything to do with that. And there is a picture of the plat itself. I can print all of this out, but it shows the property line boundaries, and I know it's not accurate on the paper of us looking at it, we're not the experts, but I just wanted to make sure that we covered all bases in regards to, do we really need a firm because there's no sidewalk, or do we need a firm because there is a sidewalk?
I think the safe thing to do here is have a firm do it.
Okay.
Okay. You know, the fact that it's unimproved makes it even more of a question as to who owns it. Okay.
If I may, last, and I'll leave this alone, I know we've been here a while, the GIS for the Prince George's County is still in the process of remapping and platting all the inner cities. They just haven't done them yet, and they're still in the process of doing that. This relates back to the alley that's between Perry, and that alley doesn't exist in their lines.
Right.
It just doesn't exist. Believe it or not, the alley is owned by the property owners, and the alley is there, but it doesn't exist in their records. And they're in the process of doing this. They've got 10,000 square miles units to do, and they're in the process of doing it. So it's a long-term process. In the newer towns, Bowie, Upper Marlboro, they've already done it because that's a new town and they started it. But these inner cities, the inner towns, they just haven't finished mapping out that. So you can go to those records, but until you get an actual survey, you're not going to get the exact where that is.
So you're saying the same thing as Attorney Deloche, I mean.
Correct.
Yeah.
I am. And I'm just letting you know.
Yeah,
All right, so the determination will be that you will have to get the firm, get the information out, report back, and see if we can do something by the next meeting on June 29th.
I can
Special
do
meeting.
Yeah, I'll do the best I can. I mean, if it's our tree, then we're going to take it down. And hopefully the council can empower me to do that. Because if it's our tree,
Yeah.
I'm going to get.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we, at this point, we get consensus to have you doing that
Yeah.
work.
regardless of when it
Yes,
comes back,
regardless,
right?
yes.
And if they say it's half or 75, then we got to have a
Yeah,
conversation.
okay.
And what's the name of the company that would be doing this survey?
See, the ones that are doing the current one, I think it's CPJ.
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 So I'd like to make a motion to approve the commission, or I'd like to make a motion to approve the services of CPJ to survey the boundary line at 4428 39th Street to determine ownership of the oak tree and thereby give the town administrator authority to determine whether to remove that tree or not based on
Findings.
the findings of the survey.
Questions?
Yes. So per our risk management attorney, he is suggesting that we put barriers around the tree.
Approval for that, yeah.
No, we don't need that.
We'll put barriers around the tree to make sure that people stay out of the area so that we won't have any possible legal issues in the future
All right.
until the survey is complete.
Does it matter if the motion says oak tree, but we're not sure really what the tree
It
is?
doesn't
I
matter.
guarantee
Doesn't
you it's
matter.
an oak tree.
Please call the vote.
Councilmember Lauren Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Marcus Monroe,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stefan Legging,
Yes.
and Mayor Rocio Tremino Lopez.
Yes, so moved. Thank you. All right, the last item in the agenda, it is to, motion to purchase a water tank.
Water tank. So 2 minutes. All right. So, you know, we have all these trees that we purchased recently. Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion to purchase a water tank and water bags in the amount of $825.
Okay,
Okay.
now you can.
Thank you. So I emailed my little presentation to everyone really quickly. But, you know, we have all these trees that we've planted recently, about 20 trees in the last year. We have all these new trees that are going to be planted soon. And trees generally need watering the first couple years before they have good roots. And so I noticed recently that the trees that we've planted in the last year, these 20 or so trees, are definitely super stressed, and they look very different than trees that have been well established. And so I am bringing this to council tonight because it's not an emergency, but if we wait too much longer without too much more rain, it may be an emergency. And we're going to need this water tank anyway because we have all these trees that are coming our way. And so I spoke with Public Works. We don't have any bags for trees. Other than a handful, he said. So I'm recommending that we purchase 20 tree bags at a cost of $225, and we purchase a 200-gallon tank at the cost of $650. The reason why I'm choosing a 200-gallon tank is because that would fill up half of the trees that we have now. So basically, you know, they would have to fill the tank. They could fill the bags up for half the trees. They'd fill the tank again and do the rest of the trees. A 100-gallon tank, they'd have to be like running back and forth to like keep filling it up and so forth. And then a 300-gallon tank, it just becomes sort of costly. So I think that was probably less than 2 minutes. But basically every tree needs 20 gallons per week. Okay, and if we have 20 new trees, that's 400 gallons per week that we should be watering them, which is why I'm suggesting a 200-gallon tank, because we just need to fill it twice and then the job's done.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have we thought about like a, rain barrel? And I know those are not 200 gallons, but collecting rainwater how are you putting the water in the water tank?
From a hose.
Have we thought about a rain barrel situation? Or a
How much-
cistern, like a cistern to grab
I mean, we could get
water
rain
as it's
barrels.
coming?
If
Sure.
it rains,
Yeah.
we can
If it
water.
rains, but I mean, we're really,
Yeah.
I mean, those rain barrels, I mean, how much do they hold?
I don't know.
50 gallons.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so definitely we could do that in the future. That wasn't like part of my consideration for funding for like this, but I think that's a great idea for the future. Yeah,
You still need the water tank.
we still need the water tank though. Yeah, and then filling the water tank with rainwater from a barrel is a great idea, but I hadn't really prepared to sort of include that cost.
Yeah, I would like to explore that a little bit more. I mean, I understand that our trees are in dire straits right now, but we've also had years where there's just a ton of rain, and they haven't been in dire straits, and rain barrels can hang on to that water. That's what I'm doing with my yard right now, and what people are doing is using the water that fell during the last rain and haven't been using it.
Are you
'cause they
suggesting
need
like
it.
catching the rain like off of like town hall roof and then putting it into the tank?
Yeah.
That's
there's-
awesome.
Yeah, and there's also large cisterns that you can just have a bird-safe, animal-safe mesh on top, and you just stick it out there
We could
in
put
an
it down
open
at the yard.
space,
We
like
could put
down
it down
at the
at
yard.
the public
Yeah.
maintenance yard. Yep,
Right.
for sure.
Also, question about the tree bags.
Mhm.
Are they plastic?
Yes. This is just for the 20 trees that we've planted in the last year.
Yeah.
When I identified trees for that Blitz program, I found 32 locations, and I'm pretty sure you can probably top that. And so, like, for those trees, let's get them something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's
There's-
not do that.
And I'm concerned about that and I know we don't want to have a big, long debate, but I'm just concerned because if you look in Veterans Park, there's a tree that's got plastic, that came in plastic, and there's just plastic like falling out around it, and it's trapped in the dirt, and you can't get it out, and it's sad. But
Sad.
I don't know enough, honestly, I don't know, and I'm not a tree expert, I don't know enough to have a conversation to be for or against this at this point. I just don't know enough, so, yeah. So that's what I'm gonna say, period.
All right. Any other comments?
I'm on board with it. I agree. We can look at a cistern down the road.
Yeah.
Constructing that down in the maintenance yard makes a lot of sense.
And my recommendation would be to pull this money from the funding that is in the budget for Pocket Park. Not because this is solely related to Pocket Park, but I don't see us incurring any expenses for Pocket Park.
Sounds good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
So,
great.
thank you.
Thanks for listening.
So the last item will be that next meeting cannot pass 10 p.m. We need to make our comments shorter. I'm serious. Not to exceed 2 minutes. And when we invite people to come and speak, they have to be on time, or otherwise we're not going to be having delay or agenda. With that, I would thank you, and this ends the meeting.
We have public comments.
You have public
We do.
comments. Okay, how many you have, Mr. Warner?
So we have 3 public comments, but they're all about the same item. So I could just summarize it real quick from the 3 residents.
Thank you.
They're all pushing for the support of the grant application for the $20,000 Pepco Sustainability Communities
Done.
funding, and also funding the town resolution that commits to working with Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission.
Done.
And that's all those 3 comments are for.
Excellent, thank you. So I need a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn at 10:12 p.m. on the 20th of June. I make a motion that we adjourn. How does it go?
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good night. 10:14.
This has
Night,
been one of my
Brentwood.
favorite council meetings. This has been great. Long, but great.